everybody. Welcome to the Stock Car Spectacle. I'm Ian Jortson.
And I'm Tom Hoblet.
And we are going to be talking Rockingham today. Tom, you just got back from the track that we haven't seen race in over 10 years. How was it at the Rock?
It was really cool. I feel like I had a different perspective on it. Like we're younger. We're younger NASCAR fans, all things considered. I mean, compared to the normal people. So like I couldn't remember races from the early 2000s. I don't remember watching The Rock almost ever. And the facility was actually in great shape. There was fresh paint everywhere. They seemed to really revitalize the place really well, and the crowds were packed even for the truck race. The one that wasn't sold out, it was still a great crowd. The energy of going to the racetrack, whichever racetrack you go to, is already fantastic, but there was an extra special energy here knowing that this track was brought back from the dead, so to speak. I mean, this doesn't happen. You hear about all these speedways closing down, they sell off the land, and then you get a Walmart, you get a Target, you get whatever. I think it was extra special that this was Easter weekend and we were able to really resurrect this track and whatnot, and hopefully enjoy it for years and years to come. The racing was really good. Really enjoyed watching it from the stands. I'm still annoyed that they didn't put much money into the actual scorekeeping in the racetrack. Could hardly figure out who was leading, what lap you're on. Couldn't read the screens. They were just showing the broadcast, and so that was my one complaint. But other than that, parking, all the stuff you worry about going to a race, the parking in and out was not bad at all both days. Seats were accessible and whatnot. The prices were fine. $7 for a beer. That's what I pay in the city for a draft. So like, as far as stadiums and stuff goes. So no, it was just overall a great experience, and I love going out to the track. I brought my dad. I brought my girlfriend. It was her first time at the track. She really enjoyed it. I was a little nervous on how she would like it. She knew nothing about NASCAR, and I'm rambling, but overall, just a great weekend and fun to get away. So,
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Sound like you had a great time out there, and really happy with how the Rock went this weekend.
for sure, I think it showed that it was the right decision, not only for NASCAR but for the state and the government to put money into that track. I mean, I was telling people when I get in conversations like, look, the government invested all this money into this track, and it got somebody like me come out to visit a town that, from what I heard a couple times, there's nothing going on in Rockingham. There's nothing going on in that area of the state. There's not a lot to do. You come out to the racetrack, but it got a few folks to come down from Chicago and spend money in their town. So good on them for all that's considered there.
Yeah, anything to help out the community out there, that's for sure. But before we dig into more Rockingham, let's start off with our diecast of the week. Tom, what you got for us today, buddy?
Well, I see how you're dressed. We're recording this on draft day, so I'd be remiss if I didn't pull this one out again. Maybe I don't know if I pulled this one out, but it is draft day when we're recording this, so I had to counter your Bears with some Packers. Have a very, very much knockoff stock car. I don't even know who makes it, but it says National Football League on the tires. Just NFL, cheap plastic metal diecast. Are you gonna get up and go get yours?
Yeah.
You gotta fight. Okay.
Yep.
He's gonna counter this. I don't know. We go Green Bay. We go Green Bay. We go see Packers. We watch them play. When they score touchdowns, we shout hooray. Hey, we all have so much fun. We go Green Bay. Hey, look, it's like the exact same model.
Yeah.
It's just the same paint scheme and everything. That's fantastic.
Yep.
NFL logo on the top there. Like scratches in this.
Oh
yeah, that's perfect. So a little bit of non-NASCAR rivalry in NASCAR form, but the draft will be exciting, and I guess as exciting as it can be. I was telling my coworkers today, it's like, you Bears fans love the draft. It's the best day of your season every year.
Yep, it's the most exciting day for us, man. Especially since it seems like we just traded up too. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Is that official? That's cool.
Yeah, well, there's
Um,
a lot of rumors
I
saying
hear the
that it's
rumors.
already
Yeah.
locked in. So Ash and Genty, come on down. But yeah, my original diecast of the week was going to be Bubba's Talladega win from a few years ago,
That is a good
but
one.
I didn't even think about it. So yeah, we're going with the Bears diecast.
I saw so many die casts in the white tents. The white tents made their way to the track. There was two and a half merch trucks, I'll call it. There was the NASCAR Classics one, um, and then there was like a Junior Motorsports half hauler, and then there was just like another generic NASCAR merch hauler. And there was some stuff inside, but frankly, the Rockingham shirt that I got outside the track was better than the ones they were selling inside the track. So,
All right.
and unfortunately, no little diecast to add to my collections.
Ah,
Didn't exist. They weren't made.
yeah.
Oh, well,
Maybe when they bring the Cup Series out there, who knows?
maybe. We'll maybe get into that too, but
Yeah.
I have thoughts.
All right, let's get into our top stories. First one, this is a big one. Rodney Childers and Spire Motorsports have gone their separate ways. It was announced yesterday. I really thought that this was going to be huge for both Rodney and Justin Haley to both grow with a new team, but it seems like things aren't working out well for that 7 team.
I think this was much more of an opportunity for Justin and Spire than it was for Rodney. And at the end of the day, I don't think that Rodney Childers wants to be running 23rd in points. I don't think he wants to do that again. Um, the statements that both Spire and him put out seem odd. It's like there might have been a little tension there. Um, but you got to remember, Hendrick controlled those pit crews, and they just switched out Justin Haley's pit crew. So Rodney had probably no choice in getting his pit crew pulled out from him. His car chief, Cheddar, went to Joe Gibbs Racing. So he's now in this new team that he was kind of forced into. He's working with a new driver. He doesn't have the same people around him. It probably just was not comfortable for him. But Spire's statement made it seem like Spire was like, you know what, Rodney, thanks, but no thanks. Um, so my big question is, where does Rodney go? Is he done? Does he retire?
Yeah, Rodney said that he's just gonna be taking some time to himself and kind of reflect and see where things go. But he definitely said he's not done with the racing world yet. So hopefully we'll see him land in a good spot.
Mm-mm.
I know that there's a driver in a number 8 car that needs a pretty good crew chief right now, and I feel like that could be a good combo there.
My that was my initial thought. Just generally, is who is going to fork up the money or say the right thing to Rodney Childers to get him in to their shop. And you got to think his phone is ringing almost immediately when those statements came out. I would love for him to come work with Kyle Busch, but Rodney Childers, since the advent of the next gen car, much like Kyle Busch, has struggled to find the speed in the race cars. So I don't think that Rodney, with all the control he already didn't have at Spire, seemingly, I don't think that he had as much control over the next gen cars with what he's used to doing. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. But he's got to have some sort of eye for something. Um, Racing, an overarching thing. I would think you see a lot of these competition directors now, like Chad Knaus went over there, Chris Gabehart over at Joe Gibbs Racing. You think there's a team out there that might like to bring in Rodney Childers as like an overarching competition guy, where Rodney doesn't have to go to the racetrack every week. I mean, we're about to hit a 28-week stretch of races. That's This guy's been in the sport for 20 years. He doesn't need to be traveling 40 weeks out of the year anymore. So if somebody can get him an offer like that, I think that would be a good fit for him, where he can contribute to the team in a more overarching scale.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. You said it perfectly. With the next gen car, with teams not really being able to prepare it as much as they did with previous cars, he really has no control on how this car is actually going to be able to run. So I totally get that, man. It's a whole different ball game now.
Mhm. I mean, it was seemingly such a good opportunity for Justin Haley, but there's Spire is such an amalgamation of random things right now. I mean, they brought in this new charter, which came with big money from private investment firms and whatnot. And it's just you can have all the pieces, but if the people playing the game don't know how to use the pieces, then it's not going to work out. And we're kind of seeing that with Justin Haley, and they're also learning how to be a competitive team. I mean, this team was bottom feeding the points chart for years, and now suddenly they got all this money and they got all this influence, and it's just like they're grasping at straws. It almost seems, and it wasn't working out with Rodney, and Rodney probably wasn't happy. Maybe it was a mutual thing, as they say. Uh, but anyway, definitely the biggest news of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, second biggest news is as they released what the rules will be for this year's All Star race at North Wilkesboro. And probably the biggest thing that's coming out of this is the new promoter's caution. Basically, they said whenever they feel like it, they're just going to throw a random caution. They only do it once. If it gets down to where it would be like NASCAR overtime area and there's a caution, then they would just waive it. There would be no promoter's caution. But this is really just bringing back our phantom debris cautions from back in the day.
We see some things that sometimes get implemented from the All-Star race that they want to test out, and they better not touch this one with a 30-foot pole after this All-Star race. I'm sure it'll be fun. I hope that they're transparent about who's in charge of pushing that button. Because it'd just be like, oh, that caution came out. Was that the promoter's caution? Was it a debris caution? I don't know. It's just I'm also glad that I mean, there's a few stipulations. It can't happen after a certain lap. It can't happen too close to another one. Like, it just seems so weird to basically put this arbitrary thing in the hands of one, seemingly one person. I mean, there's real money on the line. These guys are coming out and prepping a car and paying team members, and there's a purse for this All Star race, even if it's an exhibition. So, I mean, it could if it's in the hands of the wrong person, it could be pretty controversial.
Yeah, someone that they don't like that's in the lead, or someone that's able to get the lucky dog. I mean, just throw the
Hmm.
caution, and then you're back in the game. So, yeah, pretty weird, but I mean, it is for the All Star race. It's already a gimmick as it is at this point.
Like, I saw talks about them. Oh, what if we gave it to the TV booth and whatnot? And it's like the TV already has too much power. But just in my mind, it's funny because I'm wearing a Ford shirt today, but I'm not particularly a Ford fan, but you got Kevin Harvick and Clint Boyer up in the booth, and they see a Chevy driver pulling away from a Ford driver later in the race, and like if they have the caution button, like come on, hit the caution button, get the Ford guy a chance to win the race. It's like I just feel like there's too much politics, and we already get enough politics in this world. Just let a race be a race. I
Yeah,
discovered that I finally downloaded Tubi and have been tuning into some of those races. And man, you go back to some of these races in the 80s and 90s, they just wave the green flag and let what happens happens, and it's kind of soothing. You're not worried about it. You don't know what's going to happen in those. Obviously they're reruns, so people might know what's going to happen, but you don't know what's going to happen. That's the fun of sport. If nothing happens, sometimes it happens. Not every baseball game, and you know this personally, not every baseball game is a winner, but sometimes you see something that they haven't seen in 112 years,
yeah,
which you were at. So that's one of the. It's just like if you try to implement too many gimmicks, it becomes politicky. You get us complaining like, "Oh, why'd they hit the button there and not there?" And not, and it's I don't know. But it's the All Star Race as an exhibition, so I'm not going to get too worked up about it. I'll get worked up when they say, "Hey, and this year, promoters caution for the Daytona 500. Let's see what happens."
yeah.
No,
That's
no,
when you're gonna get eyeballs
no.
off the sport because people are just gonna think it's pretty dumb. I
It's
mean,
yeah, it's going to turn into the WWE. It's just be like, "Oh, nothing's happened," and script it up. Get some drama back in here.
yeah. Alrighty, so let's talk the NASCAR Hall of Fame nominees. They just announced them: Greg Biffle, Neil Bonnet, Tim Brewer, Jeff Burton, Kurt Busch, Randy Dorton, and Harry Gant. That is your modern era ballots. I think that's going to be great. I think Kurt Busch. I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, how can you not put him in? He's a champion of the sport, Daytona 500 winner. He's won across multiple years with multiple teams. I think he deserves it out of anybody in this list.
I don't know some of the older names here. Again, we said it earlier. We're young guys here. Kurt Busch is like one of the first names that was very recognizable to me as a fan. But that being said, I don't. He's going to have a lot of opportunities, uh, and you have some names on this list that may not be considered locks, but need to be in the Hall of Fame for either accomplishments they had on the track or accomplishments they had with safety and whatnot. And I know they have the Pioneer ballot, which is separate. I'm just not ready to shove Kurt Busch in right away because I think he deserves a spot and he will eventually get in. It's not like this is his first and only chance. Um, but you hear stuff about Harry Gant and Neil Bonnet and who is it, Jeff Burton. I don't know if Greg Biffle even needs to be in the Hall of Fame at all. Personally, yes, he won a lot of races. Yes, he's iconic, but is he Hall of Fame worthy?
Well, Hall of
Yep.
Fame just it counts all three series now.
Hmm.
So no matter where you're
Yeah,
good, and he was pretty good
yeah,
all around.
and I
So
mean, Greg Biffle, impressive, talented driver, and he's doing really good stuff, and he's upholding the stock. I mean, all these guys, frankly, obviously, they're not going to nominate people that don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. So, um,
but does Randy
is
LaJoy belong in the Hall of Fame? Because
apparently he was.
he was on it
They
last
said
year.
on Dale Jr. Download, they said that anytime he showed up at Daytona in an Xfinity race or a Busch race, as they called it back then, he was a threat to win. And if it's all three series, I don't know. Again, I am ignorant to some of the specific pasts of NASCAR. Um, and I know that Harry Gant, Neil Bonnet also deserve to be in there. And do they, the question is not, do any one of these guys deserve to be in there? It's that who has more opportunities later to be recognized. And I think Kurt Busch has some time and whatnot. Plus, you want your Hall of Famers to have the good image and whatnot. And I know Kurt Busch had some off track trouble, and Kurt Busch had some low moments. It in the race car. I mean, a lot of the Kurt Busch compilations that you see come back up are nasty,
Yeah,
scary stuff.
they're anger compilations.
And exactly, anger and over dramatic things. And is that the image you want people searching up with Kurt Busch? And
Well,
I'm more playing devil's advocate. I'm not saying Kurt does not belong. I when I saw his name on there, I was like, oh yeah, I guess it's time. Um, but does he belong at the very first? We'll see. I don't get a vote, obviously. Nobody
yeah.
nobody in NASCAR actually knows who I am. But um, but yeah, and also the unfortunate matter of Kurt's retirement, him not being able to choose.
Yeah.
This NASCAR brought out this car that was not ready, caused injuries, and it ended a driver's career. And that's ultimately the heartache too. So,
Yeah, my only argument for Kurt being in for a first ballot, he was a champion early in his career.
mhm.
He was able to overcome, getting fired and all of his issues that he was having. He was able to overcome that and be a great driver and a great person again. And he just did a lot for the sport throughout the years, through the good times and the bad times. And I just think if you're a champion, you should be in automatically. A Cup champion and a Daytona 500 champion, yep, you're in first ballot.
For sure, for sure. I mean, a Cup champion, Daytona 500 champion. I agree; those are all good accolades, and I think he needs to get in. The thing is, it's like it sucks that you could only pick two from this side and one from this side. Um, but the NASCAR Hall of Fame needs to keep bringing visitors in, and you go back into it's a business, it's politics again. Um, you can't just say like, well, everybody on this list deserves to be in, so put them all in. Well, then who are they going to put in next year?
Yeah.
It's you can't unfortunately let everybody in all at once, or it's not exciting for the fans in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. gets stale pretty quick. So I'm it's hard because there are all those guys are so deserving
Oh,
and they all deserve to be there.
yeah,
So
absolutely, man.
and that's why I'm glad I don't have to vote.
Yeah, right. All right, well, let's get into Rockingham from this past weekend. Started off with the Truck Series. Jake Garcia led the field to green. Lane Riggs won stage one. Good start for him for the season, and he also ended up winning stage two.
Yeah, I mean they were the trucks looked racy out there. It was just a nice evening to go racing and whatnot, and it was fun. I didn't have a radio at the track. I was just kind of following the race as best I could. But those front row motorsports trucks wore this shirt uh, for that occasion. They looked fast all night, and Lane
Yeah,
Riggs had a good points night.
yeah, they were doing great. Ben Rhodes, he had mechanical issues that took him out of the race early. Unfortunate for him. Ty Majeski, big damage. He just got loose going into turn one. We saw that all weekend long. Turns one and two, they're very, very treacherous. Just everybody's sliding through those turns.
Yeah, it was sketchy, and what was interesting about it from our vantage point, we were sitting just past the finish line. If you look down into turn one, it looked like there was two separate lines it would take. They'd either come in high and sit low on the track, or they'd come in low and sit high on the track. But there was really only one entry point of the corner, and they'd cross. And so, with the repave of it and everything, it was the fast racetrack. It's just like you're on the needle's edge, the knife's edge all the time, and so you just get loose. And unfortunately, my pick to win the race backed it into the wall.
Yep. It's the way it
Mm.
goes, man.
I hope that doesn't happen again.
Raja Caruth gets loose, causes Friesen to hit the wall, collects Matt Mills and Tanner Gray. That was a pretty
Mhm.
big wreck. A lot of damage for that 52 with Stuart Friesen there.
That truck came to rest right in front of us, and the whole side of it was ripped off. And it was really interesting to see Stewart get out of that and walk right to his pit box. He
Yeah.
was not happy to be put in that situation. But these cautions with that amount of laps to go created one hell of a race. It
Yeah.
was so much fun
Here's
to see that
when
strategy play out.
here's when fuel strategy starts coming into play. We saw a few guys, sputter and just lose positions because they were running out of fuel. They were trying to get enough fuel into the fuel cell there. But how about Tyler Ankrum getting his first win since what, 2019 at
I think
Kentucky?
they
That's
said 6 years over the PA.
Yeah, that is absolutely insane. That was his 1 year where he was like a title contender, and then he just kind of vanished. He's been kind of stuck running like 15th for the past few years, but now he's found a home. He's found a good teammate with Daniel Hemrick as well, and now that team has two truck winners already.
Exactly. I mean, and we know how important winning and being in the playoffs is and whatnot. And Tyler Ankrum has always been really consistent, and that's what you want in a racer and whatnot. And he's always been right there. I mean, I feel like the last couple of years they come out of the gates just sprinting, and they're sitting towards the top, and they kind of fade as the season goes on. But maybe now that they have the win, they can kind of just like build up their base of points, and both these trucks can show up and be contenders again.
Yeah,
But I was following. I was just trying to figure out how they work. I had no clue what the fuel strategy was, how long they could go. So every time I was just following the five trucks. I was like, "There's the 11, there's the 17, there's the 18, there's the 34, there's the 38." All right, and I was just like, every time they came around, I was like, "That's one, that's two, that's," and then I was like, when I realized that the 11 and the 17 were just running for their life because they knew they weren't going to make it. I was like, oh my god, they have to pit, and these other people are fading back. It was a lot of fun to just kind of organically have to discover that because you can't hear shit at the track.
yeah, right.
So that was really fun to watch, and then eventually my front row guys, both of them, they just never came back around. But Tyler Ankrum did a hell of a job, and that's again, he's been in the series at least those 6 years and a winner before that. So he knows a thing or two about trying to save the gas and getting around. You want these veterans to win these races, and I'd say Tyler Ankrum is becoming a truck veteran.
Yeah, I would say so, most definitely. All right, well, let's get into the Xfinity Series race. Connor Zilic won the pole. And then more trouble for Catherine Legg, who's just trying to point her way into just being a stock car driver. She was going a lap down. The leader gets by her, but Williams Sawalich, I don't know what he does there. He doesn't know how to get around Catherine Legg, and he just plows right through her. Uh, takes out Catherine Legg, and then collects Casey Kane
Oh,
with him. I'm looking at this more of a Williams Sawalich was very impatient than Catherine Legg was making a mistake because she was doing the best she could.
I would I would like to make a few points on this. First of all, don't send people death threats. It's not that important. I, sure, you may not you, Ian, but the world may hate women for whatever reason. Don't threaten people's lives. It's stupid. That's dumb. So we'll get that out of the way. Second of all, Catherine Legg probably has as much more racing experience than Williams Wallace has, just not on ovals. Third of all, if I'm driving down the highway and I'm looking out the window and then suddenly I run into the back of you, Ian, whose fault is that?
You,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's my fault. So why are people coming at Catherine? The leader got around her just fine. I don't understand. Yeah, maybe if she had a little bit more oval experience, she could have gotten a little bit higher on the track. But if you're faster, I mean, Catherine is a endurance car racer. She understands, and she doesn't run the fast ones. She is one of the slow ones. She knows how to get out of the way. She thought she had left enough room, and it is the passing car's job not to run through the back of them. It's a long race, and Sawalich killed his race, her race, and Casey Kane's race. The crowd was devastated when they saw Casey Kane get collected in that. It was heartbreaking, honestly. He had a fast car. He was going to run top 5 at least.
yep.
And I mean, those RCR cars were hooked up. Well, I don't know, maybe illegally, but uh, but maybe all 3 of them, maybe just the one, probably all 3. But it was sad. A lot of people had come there for the nostalgia, and it helped that Casey Kane was in the field, and then he just was not having a good day. Although I did see Casey Kane after the first stage. Casey Kane has his wrecked car without the right front fender on, and the way the pit cycles in these late stage cautions came out in, Casey Kane legitimately passed stage 1 winner Nick Sanchez on the track via speed
Yep.
in the pack. I knew the 48 was slow in the pack. He was able to stay out in front, but as soon as he got past, he was going to be. So that was kind of funny to see that very heavily wounded car pass the stage 1 winner pretty
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah. So that's just another
So yeah,
case of
Catherine Legg is just getting too much hate. Too much
yeah.
hate for this. She's out there to learn, and if we're not going to let her learn and then crucify her for trying to learn and being in a learning situation on circle tracks, what's the point? How are you going to accept anybody into your series?
Yeah.
If someone like Catherine Legg can't come to the series and be comfortable, no way is Lewis Hamilton going to want to show up and run a cup race. No way is, I don't know, some other supercar guy be like, and yeah, don't threaten people's lives. That's
Yeah.
stupid. Don't be an idiot.
Pretty damn ridiculous. But it's just a case of William Sawalich
Mhm.
being immature and just impatient with his driving. I mean, we've seen it all year. He's been the worst Joe Gibbs racing driver out there all season in the Xfinity Series. So he just needs more patience to be a better driver. And this right here just showed that he's not ready to be a full time Xfinity Series driver.
Yeah, and you can kind of see the stark difference between the ARCA series and this one. I mean, frankly, he should know how to pass a slow car
Yep.
winning all those ARCA series races, but I guess not. Now you got cars that are more equal, and he feels desperate and can't get slowed down. I don't know. It was a bad look for him, and unfortunately, Catherine's getting all the hate for it.
Yeah, unfortunately, she's taking the rap for it.
So, ugh, awful.
Yeah. Well, you said it that 48 Was fast when he was in the front. He won stage one, so that's good for that team. Good for Nick Sanchez.
And
And
Parker
then
Retzlaff was also up front that whole first stage
yeah,
and
he
came
looked
out with
great.
9 points. Really good.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
Sheldon Creed, he got damage from Justin Bonsignor getting loose, putting the 00 in the wall. That's just a case, we talked about it. The track's repaved. It's
Mhm.
super fast going into these turns, and he just put too much into it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Sheldon was a victim, and he was pretty much done for the day after that.
Yeah, it's sketchy, narrow track, and if you went over the edge, then there wasn't much saving it.
Yeah. And then stage wins for the small teams. Sam Hunt
Hmm.
Racing, Dean Thompson wins stage two. That's the first stage win for Thompson and Sam Hunt Racing. So fantastic for them.
Yeah, these cautions came out with 4 or 5 laps to go in the stage, and then it just kind of set up for the bigger teams to know they were going for the race win and pit. And the tires didn't matter all that much here on the repave. So if you stayed out on old tires, you could hold on for 2, 3 laps and put yourself in good position to get good points for those mid back teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
Important points.
All right, well, 10 laps to go on the restart. We get multiple drivers running out of fuel, and they just all wreck. That happened right in front of you, Tom. That had to be something else.
I I'm wearing my brand new Justin Allgaier shirt, watching him meticulously work his way through the field. I have extra faith in Justin Allgaier because I picked him to win on the show, and then I just see him junked for no fault of his own. I mean, you could. What was the other race where this kept happening? There was a few. Maybe it was towards the end of last season, but there was just maybe it was that Nashville race, the Cup Series race,
Yeah, where we
where
got
like
like
they were stretching him for so. It was almost a carbon copy of that. It's just like Ryan Sieg was doing a hell of a job trying to save the fuel and and block off the many attacks by the two. But I mean, he came around. He lost positions under caution because he came off of turn four at one point and didn't fire. I was like, in the crowd, they're coming around on like the one to go. They had just done the choose or something, and I just pointed out, and the car is not moving. And I was like, "He's out! He's out!" And the people around me were just like, "What?" And they see it. The car's just sitting there on the apron. He pulls back in like third, and I was like, they had to know that those cars weren't going to fire off like that, especially with the banking on the turns and where the pickups were. It was carnage,
yeah.
carnage ready to happen. But like when they wave the flag that late in the race, there's no chance to wait to see that the guy ahead of you goes because you'll get run over from the back. So, and there's nothing really to fix it. And I don't think this is a Martinsville situation. Completely different. It's just kind of how the strategy had to play out. But it was incredibly frustrating to watch from a pacing perspective sitting in the stands. I mean, we had sat through the ARCA race already, and then we had sat there for a few hours of the Xfinity race, and then they just could not keep it green. They could not go on a run, and that was really frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what happens when we get a bunch of late cautions here. A lot of guys think, all right,
Mhm.
we can save on fuel here. We weren't going as hard, but yep, we're going
But
to see a lot of that.
they were saying the 39 and the 16 were like 10 laps short. That I don't know.
Yeah, there was a lot
But
of information coming from the crews
mhm.
on like how many laps they had left, and it was just totally off. I think they just didn't know with them
Yeah.
being at this, new-ish track
Mhm.
or old track, I guess.
I mean, they kept saying over the PA before the race started, like, we're 20 minutes away from breaking a 7,000 something day streak of not racing. Nobody had notes on this. So, like, to have so much faith in the fuel race was tough, but like 10 laps, he was racing really hard. They should have known. But you also don't want NASCAR. You can't just be like, well, if you're 10 laps short, you have to pit. Because you don't want NASCAR sticking their fingers in there like that either. You kind of just have to let it out. If the teams think they can make it. Joey made it at Nashville.
Yeah,
And Joey made it at Vegas and won him a championship. So
yeah, no, you can't have policing on the subject. It's really just
no.
up to them, and if
Hmm.
they run out of gas coming into a restart and they collect everyone, then that's their damn fault.
Yeah.
How not
I'll
NASCAR's
take this.
whatsoever. It's just the way it goes.
I'll take this 100 times out of 100 over what happened to Martinsville a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
If this is the way the field gets junked, so be it. These guys are going for it. They're doing what they exactly think is the right way to win. They pit and let the rest of the field race it out. I mean, again, the tires didn't matter. It's not like you're going to drive back through the field. The track is narrow. You're not going to drive back through the field. So you either stay in front and run out of gas, or you pit and finish 26th. I'd take my chances.
Yeah, I would take them too. Why not? And then we get another big wreck on the back stretch here. We had guys run out of fuel. Connor Zilic spun, which kind of caused a big pileup going into the back stretch. But then that led into NASCAR overtime. Jesse Love gets the win, but then he gets disqualified for his rear suspension being too low. So, lo and behold, Sammy Smith gets his first win of the year.
I introduced Sid, my girlfriend, to Bob Pockris, and she was the one that found it.
Oh, really?
She's like, "Did you see this?" And I was like, "Oh my god, that's huge!" And then like, I introduced her to Bob, who he's like, hey, "This guy will just no nonsense tell you what happened." And then I was like, "And I bet this other guy Bozy will have literal diagrams about what it is." I was like, "Look him up," and she's like, "Yep, it's right here, a whole thread, Bozy explaining what happened." So again, kids, make sure your U-bolts are flush with your trailing arms.
Yeah.
It's important. You got to have flush mating. You can't have any give and whatnot. But that two car was quick.
He was
That two car was
real fast.
fast.
Him and Carson Kvapil had some great battles out there together.
Oh God, that was incredible to watch. I mean, Carson, you'd think, and this is kind of what Denny was talking about, when the lead car is at a disadvantage, you think that car in second looked so fast, so much faster than the guy in front, and then they'd pass him, and the guy in second, the old leader would just stick right on him and pass him right back. It was incredible battle, and that was what was so fun about the truck race that I wish we got to see. I just wanted that to play out generically like the truck race did, and this would have been the perfect weekend, and it was a damn good weekend. But it just I got a little upset with the pacing by the end of the Xfinity race, but maybe that was just me sitting in the sun all day. But the truck race was fantastic to see it play out so naturally, and then the Xfinity race, they had almost the same circumstances, and they just couldn't keep it clean. But that's all right.
I mean, I thought the racing looked fantastic with the Xfinity series at Rockingham. Regardless of them racing like idiots sometimes, I thought it was absolutely fantastic, especially that battle with Jesse Love and
for sure,
Carson Kvapil there. But I want to kind of end our show on this note here. How do you think the Cup Series would do at Rockingham? Because now everyone's saying, let's get the Cup Series out here. But we have seen this time and time again, NASCAR at these kind of shorter-ish tracks with this next-gen car, they cannot pass. And that's what everyone's worried about.
So again, we had a repaved track where we've already noted that the tires don't matter. We've talked about how narrow the track is. I mean, the exit of 2 was treacherous. The entrance in 1 was treacherous. I mean, we saw somebody get crossed up and destroy a car on the front stretch. This track is everything that the Cup car is bad at. And it's the first time. Those stands were not packed because Rockingham is incredible. It's because they hadn't raced there in 10 years and they couldn't believe that the track was back, and they wanted to come out and support their local community. I wanted to go see a new racetrack, and I like going to see events like this where it's like the first thing you're not really quite sure what's going to happen. This track is not Cup car ready, and you could see it clear as day. We were listening to NASCAR Sirius XM on the way home, and everybody's like, "I'd like to see a Cup event," because they have that call-in show. And they're like, "I'd like to see the Cup cars here. We got to bring back Cup. This Rockingham won't be back until Cup is back." And no, everybody, slow down. We had good support series races here. Maybe we leave it at that. You have good racing with these guys, because what happens? The Cup cars go there. They run 400 laps. It's a snoozer. Nobody can pass. Kyle Larson leads 398 laps. And it was like, Rockingham's dead. Kill it. You're going to run into the same issue. Let the cars. It's a good local thing. These local teams can get out there fairly easily. I don't see the need for Cup to go out there. It still supports the community, and why not? Just let it be for a few years, see how it goes, and let them work on the Cup car,
Yeah,
make them less aero dependent.
yeah. Let the
I
surface
don't know.
age a little bit.
Hmm.
Let's figure out these short track packages with these cars first. Let's figure out these tires. Let's just figure out everything about this next gen car on how we can make good racing at tracks that are not a mile and a half long.
I think I was thinking it on the way home here, and all those people talk about how Cup needs to go. I was like, guys, it's going to be the same. We saw that Darlington race a couple weeks ago in the Cup Series. It's going to look exactly the same.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to lead 200, half, three quarters, 5/8 of the race. That's smaller than three quarters. I'm bad at math. Anyway, um, they're going to lead most of the race, and they're not going to be the fastest car. And you're going to have one guy who can move around, but it's not going to look good, and it's not going to be good, and that's ultimately not good for the track and for the community
Yeah, that's going to
and for
kill the
NASCAR.
hype. Yeah,
For sure.
definitely.
I think in general, there was a lot of sentiment on that same radio show. And again, these are real fans calling in. There's a lot of sentiment on this. They're like, Ben Kennedy's doing good stuff, but they got to go back to the roots. I think the perfect thing to do is, all right, we have 36 races a year, right? And there's some staples you got to keep on there. But these other weekends you can move around. So for 2 years we go to Rockingham, and then the next year we go to Mexico City. It's new, it's cool, and then we do that for a little bit, and then we come back to Rockingham. It'll keep it fresh, and these tracks won't fall by the wayside, even if you take a year or two off. Alter Alternate Rockingham and Mexico City, alternate a Richmond and a Coda. So
Yeah.
every season it feels fresh, it keeps the teams on their toes, and we're seeing more venues. Instead of going to, I don't know, you could do, what else is new? And the street race could move around every year, go to different cities. It's a lot of logistic work. It's expensive, but you'll get butts in the seats because it feels like it's different every time. And I think that is that is kind of what they need to lean towards, instead of doing the mid 2000s, the mid tens thing, where it's the same 25 tracks for 36 weeks, and 19 of them are D-shaped ovals. It gets stale, and in this instant gratification TikTok world, you got to keep people fresh, you got to keep people interested, and you got to keep changing it up. The rumors we hear about the championship race starting to rotate, that's good. That's a good thing, because it'll keep it fresh. We're like, oh no, not another Phoenix. It's like, ooh, what's the championship going to do this year? How is the car different? How is it going to change? It's going to keep it fresh. It's going to be nice.
Yeah, I think that's the smartest way that they can go with it is just rotate these special tracks and just do something with it. Keep it fresh, just
You'll
like you said.
you'll still have your staples. I don't want the angry old NASCAR fans to come at me in I'm not saying you get rid of the Daytona 500 and the Southern 500. No, you keep all that stuff because it's great.
Yeah.
It's what made the sport what it is. And Rockingham is what made the sport what it is. But you can't go there every year, or it's going to become stale again, and then you're going to completely kill the city of Rockingham in the community in South North Carolina. So I think you gotta keep it fresh and keep changing it up. Skipping a year isn't going to be bad,
Yeah.
but I'm sure the city doesn't want to skip another 20 years of racing.
Yeah, there's no way. They just brought it back. They want to keep going for the long run here. So I think it'll be perfect for the Truck Series and Xfinity Series to just keep on doing what they're doing at Rockingham. And I mean, they've always kind of done that. They've gone to the tracks where the Cup Series hasn't. I mean, they used to go to
Mhm.
Mosport up in Canada. I mean, they used to go to Mexico City down there, and just Road America too. Xfinity Series introduced NASCAR to Road America. So that's what the smaller series does.
It's harder to do in the NASCAR economy that NASCAR has built for itself, where all these teams are just using Cup Series pit crews. It's harder to go to these one-off races that the Cup Series isn't at because none of the people are there. Um, and so that's also the balance you got to find. Just take the show, everything together. The fans get are, I mean, I'm personally happier the more races I can see. So if I'm going to Mexico City, I don't want to just see Cup, or I don't want to just see Xfinity. I want to see the trucks. I want to see Xfinity. Hell, put ARCA cars on maybe not ARCA on the Mexico track, but I want to see more racing. But again, if you just change it up year to year, it'll get us more excited to buy tickets and actually go see these shows in person and tune in if
Yeah.
it's different. Because then the stories could write themselves too. NASCAR can just market it as like, hey, it's different this year. We're going to do new track. We didn't go to this track last year, even though it's a staple. It's like, we didn't go to this track last year, so we don't know what's going to happen. But it's Rockingham, and you can build up that hype year after year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be the smart way to do it. Alrighty, guys. Well, that is going to wrap it up for us here at the Stock Car Spectacle. Tomorrow, we are going to be releasing our picks for the weekend on YouTube Shorts, so I will put the link down below for that when it is released. But yeah, that will do it for us. Talladega is going to be fun. Can't wait to make our picks. Tom, you got anything else to add?
No, get to the racetrack. It's the best thing. They say like the worst day of fishing is better than the best day at work or something. I think something along that lines with going to the racetrack. Even a bad race at the racetrack is still a fantastic time.
Yeah.
And take a friend, take someone new, share this thing that you love. Show them, and it's not just a bunch of hillbillies running in circles. It's so much more, and it can be so much fun. I love taking my dad to the track. I loved taking my girlfriend and showing her what this is, and now she's going to be really excited when the races come to Chicago this summer. And it's just going to be a good old time.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to scare people off. Just take them to the track, show them what you love, and show them why you love it.
Absolutely. Alright, guys. Well, make sure to like our video, subscribe to our channel, and comment down below what you thought of Rockingham this past weekend. So for the Stock Car Spectacle, I'm Ian Jortson.
And I'm Tom Hoblin.
And we'll see you guys next time.